Oh, that's coming. Don't worry. You got it. Yeah, Prezi.com, if you've never used it, great for presentations. Anyhow, my name's Seth. I teach English in Natick High School, and I'm going to tell you a little bit about simple games that anyone here can use. So when you walk out of here, you've got something to take with you. I've got a little story to tell you first. I want to take you back to the year of 1990. And young Seth is in 5th grade. I actually don't remember anything about 5th grade. I don't remember a single lesson that we did in class. But I can still see the goosebumps that were on my arm the first time I beat Castlevania after hundreds of tries. And Castlevania told me something when I beat the game. I didn't just finish it. It told me that I had played the greatest role in this story. Then I moved on to middle school. I don't remember anything about middle school. I couldn't even tell you who my teachers were. But I can tell you, with absolute certainty, that no buffalo was sick when I went hunting for food on the Oregon Trail. And then I went to college. And now as I hit my 30s, even my college classes are starting to fade from my memory. I can't really tell you what classes I took anymore. But I know exactly what day it was and whose dorm room I was in when I chased Trevelyan off of the antenna cradle to finally beat Goldeneye. Some people know what I'm talking about. But before these games, which are all very fun, there's actually another game I played that preceded all of them. This other game was supposed to be educational, and it was. This game gave me a scream that I will never forget. Now, something else about this game that made it special was that it was only the second game I ever played, besides The Legend of Zelda, that would actually keep your name and remember some of your gameplay so you could progress through the game. This game gave me a scream that I still remember to this day, even though I don't remember anything about 4th grade. That screen looked like this. I fought for that screen for exactly 112 hours. And I know this because the game remembered me and told me how much time I had spent playing it every time I went back. That's a long time. Think about it. You're in 4th grade. How many projects have you sank 112 hours into? Certainly nothing else I did for 4th grade took that much effort. But I was not going to quit until I chased that sticky-fingered filcher from Berlin down to Belize and we were in jail. Then the screen did something else. Something else came up right after this that I also will not forget. The Interpol Hall of Fame. Holy mackerel. Now, I'm a 10-year-old boy. I liked baseball. I knew that Babe Ruth was in the Hall of Fame, and Ted Williams was in the Hall of Fame. You mean I get to be in the Hall of Fame too? This was my first ever video game achievement. The first one I ever popped. I still remember it very clearly right now, and I remember the effect that it had on me. I said, wow, I really earned this. I accomplished something. This feels great. And to this point in my life, this was undoubtedly the greatest accomplishment I had ever done with anything. So there I am, and I pop this accomplishment, and I say, wow, I want to keep doing this. I want to play more. And now that I'm a teacher, I remember this, and I bring this to my own classroom. Here's part of how I do it. Simple games that anyone here can take to your class or tell your teacher to run it, and you can start using these games tomorrow's class, when you go back to school tomorrow. There's several benefits that I feel like I get from using games in my freshman English high school classroom. There are several benefits in class. First, I get more engagement from my students. When there's a game at stake, they like to play, they want to play, they get involved, and there was a time when being a gamer was kind of a closet thing, and people who played games did it in the privacy of their own home, and people who didn't play games didn't want anything to do with them. Now, everybody's a gamer. Everyone's got a video game system in their pocket, whether it's Words with Friends or whatever, Angry Birds, everyone's playing something. So, the games, kids are used to it, they like seeing that. It's also great for collaboration. I find that my students need the collaboration for two reasons. For one, they're high school freshmen. They've come in from several different public middle schools that all roll up to the same high school. They're also coming from private schools and home schools. So these kids get to high school, and they only know about 40% of the kids that in their class that they're going to be doing high school with. So getting that collaboration in freshman class is really huge for them. And the other thing I find is that my students will let themselves down before they'll let down other people. So I really like doing games in small groups, groups of 3, groups of 4. It's usually built around that because that creates a lot of social, good peer pressure to actually do the work. I find that in this social media age, my students are actually more motivated by the fear of other people not liking them than they are by getting a good grade for their own personal advancement. Small groups help achieve that. And finally, winning student mindshare is huge with games. At our classrooms at Natick High School, we've given every student a MacBook in the whole high school. Now, most schools aren't there yet, but 10 years from now, come back here, and most schools are going to be there. Those computers can go online. And if you've been in any college classroom in the last 5 years, you know that having student mindshare while class is going on with computers is extremely difficult. They can go surf whatever they want. I have to fight for the mindshare, especially if it involves computers. Games really help me do that. There's some enduring benefits for the students. I can engage diverse learners. Games are easy ways to get people active verbally, visually, kinesthetically, moving around the room. Great way to activate and engage all your different learners. Games also provide opportunity for replay. Some of the games I play exist only within the 45 minutes of the class, but other games that I build, they live online somewhere. And the kids can go back and play them over and over, and maybe even eventually get 100% and get that same sense of accomplishment I did when I finished games when I was their age. And finally, winning through losing. I want them to lose sometimes. You've read all the stories, and for some of the kids it's true. It is the generation that grew up getting trophies for just showing up. And I want some of them to get a little bit more mad about losing. I want it to hurt. I want them to lose, but through that, want to keep going. Because that's what happened to me with Castlevania and Carmen Sandiego. I wasn't going to quit until I beat it. And I know some kids are going to get that same thing. So I think losing is okay for some of them. They don't get too upset. They seem to want to go back and do it again. I think it's fine. Then there's benefits for me, too. For one, games do contribute to this concept of flipped learning. And flipped learning is this big concept that a lot of you probably know about, but it's essentially where students somehow teach themselves the material and teachers facilitate that during class. Games really help me do that. I set up the game, they start playing or doing the activity that helps them accomplish the game, and they're really teaching themselves at that point. I just get to go around and facilitate and help them with whatever they need to do to get through the game. But it really helps them do the learning themselves rather than me lecturing down or just talking. Opportunity for teacher creativity is great. I'm creative. I like to somehow express my creativity in class. Making up games helps me do that. And finally, my classes are fun. And that's really important. The kids love it. They say, thanks for that class. That was fun. I really enjoyed that game today. Hey, great. What I'm going to give you now is a few simple ways to add games to your class. Here's just a few of the games I do, and we'll keep it very high level, but at the end of this presentation, we'll have a link on the board to all of our links, anything you need to go to, including I put the rules for all of my games. There's about a dozen of them into one link. You can go in there and just check out all the fine rules. But I'll go over some top-level rules today. The biggest thing that I do that the kids love is the Freshman League of Wonder, or the Flow. They go crazy for it. It's where I have created a league, and I have all my classes battling each other throughout the entire year. At the end of each term, whichever class has the most points gets a party. And that's how it works. Keep it all on there, and they see the standings whenever they want. They really enjoy when I say, all right, this is for Freshman League of Wonder, like the intensity in the room gets really amped up, like, all right, we got to do this. So Freshman League of Wonder helps me. Another website I love to use, I'm a little bit too addicted to it, is Sporkle. Some of you are laughing. I see like some Sporkle addicts in here for sure. I consider, that should be my panel next year, like Sporkle addiction. Great website. It's just quizzes on everything under the sun. No matter what you're into, it's there. You can also build your own, of course. So it's all user-generated content. Here's one I made for characters in the Odyssey, right? So kids can come in here, we play it in class for Freshman League of Wonder points, they can go off on their own and play it, and you just have to identify who the character is based on these descriptions. A lot of fun to play, keep trying to get 100%, and when you're done playing, it gives you all the answers. Study guide, done. Print that out, study it, easy study guide. You don't have to make anything separate. So right there, have the kids print that out, excellent for them. Do love me some Sporkle. Another great website is Quia.com, Quia.com. It's really good for making, they have a lot of built-in games, like there's a Battleship game and a Jeopardy game. They're all built in, they're easy to set up, you store everything to your own account, and everything that teachers make on there is public. So if you need a game for some big concept that you're sure lots of other teachers teach, just go in there. Someone probably already made the game you need, and you can just use theirs. Or if you need to make something new, you can just make your own. So great website, check it out, easy to make games there. Then, of course, there's building your own games. Now, this can be kind of intimidating. You say, man, like, there's so much to think about when you build a game. And there can be, but it can also be pretty simple, especially we're all gamers here, and you have a lot of games that you know. And when you think about the basic structure of what those games are doing, it can be a lot easier to build your own games. My favorite game right now is a card game called Dominion. Any Dominion players here? Couple? All right, nice. All right. So I build a lot of my in-class games loosely on what Dominion cards do. And then I give it a fun little name. The kids have no idea. This is where I'm getting all my ideas. There's one card in Dominion called Forge, and I won't go over exactly what it says on it, but the essential premise is you take a bunch of weak items and you combine them all and you get one really good item. And that's the essential premise of Forge. I have a game called Frantic Forge, because they're doing it with a stopwatch, trying to do it for time. And the students collaborate in Jigsaw, give each of them a small part of a bigger task, and then they eventually combine that all, and they get the whole task done. Good for collaboration, good for becoming more expert on a small part, and then learn the rest from the rest of your peers, and you get some Jigsaw and flipped learning that way. So that's my Frantic Forge game. I have another one called Empirical Embargo. So the embargo card essentially forces players to make use of limited resources, or you have to pay a price to go get the good resource, because the good resource is embargoed. The educational goal here is there's limited resources. I say, here's just a couple things you can use, and that's it. You have to figure out how to achieve the task with just these couple of things. And again, you can get the more detailed rules on that with the link that you'll see at the end of the presentation. But students have to come up with an entire strategy of how am I going to get through this problem with only these two items, when I usually would use more to do this. So it involves more problem solving and then also the learning on top of it. And another example I do is a card in Dominion called Ravel, where you essentially benefit if someone next to you has something you need. And so for this one, each student creates a unique tool for learning the material based on whatever they're good at. And then they use that tool that they created, whether it's something visual or they're writing words or it's something on the computer, something they could say or sing, whatever they feel like they can use to express themselves best, that's how they're going to teach the other students that little piece of the material. So that's my Royal Ravel card. So those are just some of the games I do in class, and there's a lot more. But at the end of, when I play these games, at the end of each game, or a good day anyway, students will come to me and they say, hey, Mr. Wolfman, thanks a lot for that class. That was a fun game. I think I learned something. Or sometimes at the end of the year, they say, hey, Mr. Wolfman, that was a fun English class, all those games. Thanks a lot. When they come to me and a kid says that, it feels really good. But I can also look at them and say, after all that, hey, all that learning you just did, you played the greatest role in this story. I'm going to turn it over now to Mike, and Mike's going to show you how to gamify your entire class.
So basically what I want to talk about today